Avery testified Larry blew kisses at Brandon. Another student claimed Larry's crush was no secret.
He had supposedly told Brandon that he loved him.
Whether it was, "Hey baby, what's up?" or "I love you baby," something like that happened in the hallway, and Brandon was upset by it afterwards.
In court, the defense maintained that school officials were overly tolerant of Larry's behavior and allowed a sexually charged environment to become dangerous.
In the stand, a lot of teachers testified that they thought that something bad was going to happen here, and they believed that nobody was really doing anything, and that the administration was perhaps even coddling Larry and allowing him to express himself. So I think they really struggled with that fine line, and there's a lot of people now who say they just erased the line and let Larry run wild.
Don Boldrin was one of those who was criticized for allowing Larry to openly express his sexuality.
I think it's a mistake. I think a teacher that does that oversteps their bounds.
Finn Larson, the executive director of the Christian Educators Association International, has helped create anti-bullying policies across the country.
When a teacher is hired, they are hired to present certain curriculum. They aren't there to either to reinforce or to squelch sexual expression.
But Dawn stands by her actions, then and now.
It is my job to simply accept everybody and do what I can with everybody's individuality on a regular basis, support it, and try and get them to learn. And that's what I was doing.
As for the prom dress she gave Larry,
I did it privately. I didn't want to shove it in the faces of any of the other students. I didn't want it to be this big public grandiose thing. I wanted it to be private, and I wanted him to realize that not everything had to be big and in everybody's faces all the time.
But as Valentine's Day approached, some claim Larry's escalating flirtation left Brandon feeling humiliated in front of his friends. He was so upset, the prosecution says, on February 11th, he decided to bring a gun to school. The next day during class, someone teased Larry, who turned around and said, "My name's not Larry, it's Letitia." According to the defense, that is what caused Brandon to snap and pull out his gun.
He was a little kid who just got pushed to the brink. Got, someone that at that age with all that pressure and all that tormenting.
So in your view, he just lost it?
Yeah.
But the prosecution argued this was not a crime committed in the heat of the moment. In their minds, it was a cold-blooded, premeditated murder.
Their argument is that he was thinking about it and that he had the opportunity right away, but he sat there and thought about it, which gives rise to premeditation.
And what about those doodles and drawings found in Brandon's backpack? Could they be enough to condemn him to jail for life? There's one man who may know the answer. The DA couldn't find him, but we did. Stay with us.
There is no doubt that 14-year-old Brandon McInerney shot and killed classmate Larry King at point-blank range. And many believe it was Larry's behavior that caused Brandon to erupt so violently. But the prosecution is presenting another theory, one that casts Brandon in a far different light. Once again, Juju Chang.
For 2 long months, prosecutors presented 2 very different portraits of an 8th grader accused of murder. The jury would have to decide which Brandon McInerney they believed. Was he an unlikely victim, sexually harassed by a cross-dressing classmate with a not-so-secret crush on him? Or was he a homophobic white supremacist bent on killing?
One of the most damning things that I think they used against Brandon was his own words. Brandon himself told the psychologist that he was a homophobe, he didn't like gays, that the worst thing that could happen to them was that some young gay kid would talk to him.
A kid like Larry King. But reporter Zeke Barlow says the DA didn't just use Brandon's words against him, they used his possessions against him as well.
They brought out all these notebooks that they found in both his backpack as well as in his home, more than 150 pieces, I believe, of different doodles and drawings, and some were simple swastikas.
In court, Deputy District Attorney Maeve Fox tried to draw a link between those mysterious letters, SSL, found scribbled in Brandon's spiral notebooks, and white supremacy. She told jurors Brandon was living and associating with a hardcore gang of racists, the SSL, so similar to Hitler's SS. Jurors also listened to days and days of testimony on neo-Nazi ideology. And this man, self-avowed white separatist Matt Riom. Riom and Brandon's brother were once roommates.
I know you're not on trial, but how long did you live with Matt Riom?
For about 2 months.
You're good friends with him.
No, yeah, I've known him my whole life.
That's James at Riom's wedding.
He is an avowed white separatist, though.
Yes.
Was Brandon a white supremacist?
No.
How can you be so sure, James?
Because he has so many friends that are not white, you know, that he hung out with. Like, his best friend for his entire childhood is a black kid.
Matt Riom was to be the linchpin in the prosecution's case.
What was the link they were trying to make?
What I think they were trying to show is that Matt Riom educated Brandon on the beliefs of white supremacy, one of which obviously is anti-gay.
But Riom never actually testified.
DA said that they were going to bring him out. He was going to talk. Big part of their case. Nobody's been able to find him.
Kathy Listel is a private investigator working for the defense.
Should we see if we can find him?
She brought our cameras to this undisclosed location on the outskirts of Las Vegas. The DA couldn't track him down, but 2020 did.
And been here on camera with 2020.
Meet Matt Riom. Make no mistake, he has some very strong beliefs about keeping the white race pure.
I want to have a white family. You know, I love my family, and I want to make sure that our bloodline, you know, flourishes for as long as possible.
But Riom flatly denies advocating violence or teaching his racist beliefs to Brandon.
They wanted me to tell him, yeah, I told Brandon to go kill this kid, is what they wanted me to say.
Riom accuses the district attorney of looking for anything to tie Brandon to the white power movement.
They wanted to make him into a skinhead or a white supremacist, and, you know, somebody that hated Jews and gays and wanted to kill the person, you know, kill gays just for being gay. And they were going to use me as a tool to do it. They straight told me.
He goes so far as to say the prosecution threatened him, his wife, and his family if he refused to cooperate with their investigation. So he went into hiding.
They threatened to lock my wife and my dad up if I didn't tell them what they wanted to hear.
3 days before Larry King's murder, Matt Riom says Brandon did come to his door looking for his brother James, not him.
He showed up at the door crying. He's definitely troubled by something that's going on in his life. You know, I told him to be a good kid, sleep on the couch. You know, my wife gave him a pillow and a blanket, and we woke up in the morning, he was gone.
Matt Riom lived in a neighborhood called Silver Strand. Turns out SSL stands for Silver Strand Locals. But is it really a hotbed for neo-Nazis? We went there to see for ourselves. Silver Strand lies on the edge of Oxnard, a strip of land between two rock jetties.
Well, if we started the jetty here, it goes across down to here to the kiddie beach.
David Wentworth has lived in Silver Strand for more than 25 years. To him, this is a relaxed neighborhood with a strong sense of community.
Everybody keeps an eye on everybody else. There doesn't ever seem to be any problems here.
But prosecutors told a different story. They claimed the Silver Strand group, SSL, is a gang with neo-Nazi leanings. Matt Riom says that's not true.
I've never known that to be a gang. I've lived there for 30 years, and it's never been a gang to me.
But what about those symbols and tattoos some kids wear?
It's nothing more than OX. You know what I mean? It's Oxnard.
Danny Crave is also one of the locals. He's another friend of Brandon's brother and says the young Brandon he remembers is not some angry teenager with white supremacist sympathies.
I mean, Brandon was like one of the best kids on the beach. You know what I mean? He was the only kid on the beach that didn't want to party, that didn't want to smoke weed, that didn't want to drink, that, you know what I mean? Like, you wanted to go to school, you wanted to do everything right.
Brandon's close friend, 22-year-old Darren Larkin, who's part black, agrees.
He ain't no racist, he ain't no skinhead, nothing like that. He's a solid cat from the beach.
Randy Hecht is a consultant for the defense who spent 20 years in police and FBI gang task forces.
So if it wasn't a white supremacist gang, and you're not even sure it was a gang, what was it?
It's a group of kids. I've talked to probably 100 people throughout the course of this investigation, and nobody believed he's a white supremacist, except for the DA.
Locals here have been protesting the fact that the DA charged Brandon as an adult for murder.
Says save Brandon.
David Wentworth testified at the trial on Brandon's behalf.
He's done a bad thing.